Okay, so we're going to talk today about finding your first clients. Now, I know some of you are not 100% new, but I think it's good to start from the beginning. And so that's why I wanted to do this little presentation for today, because even if you're not totally new, every time you find a new client can feel a little daunting, and it can feel like you're starting over again sometimes. So I figure, why don't we just start from there? So here we go. So the mission here is simple. It lies in two essential strategies: pitching more and improving the quality of your pitches. Those are the two things that you need to do to be successful with becoming a freelance writer that makes money. Okay. There are four things that are most important. And this is the first time I've gone over this presentation, guys. So hopefully we don't have any typos. But there are 4 points of importance I want you to remember as we go through this. Number one, think of each pitch as an opportunity to showcase your unique skills and perspective. Unique is like the key word here. We always want to stand out. Number two, you want to craft pitches that are not only addressing your client's needs, but also demonstrating your passion and expertise. Which, by the way, expertise, we had a little debate about this on last cohort. Like, what does it mean to be an expert? You do not have to have a PhD in something to say that you have expertise. Honestly, even a little research will give you more knowledge than the average person. I use the example of having worked for the National Spine Health Foundation, knowing nothing about spine health, and yet writing blog posts and things about back surgery and stuff like that. And so you do not have to have some kind of professional background in order to break into a niche and gain a little expertise. So that was just sort of a side note there. We can get more into that if you want. Number three, make sure your pitches stand out from the crowd by tailoring them to the specific client and project. You know what I just realized? I like to have my head in this screen here, because I just think it's like more interactive. So I'm gonna put this over to the side, guys. Maybe that's not gonna work. Hold on. Okay, I don't know why it's not. Well, I'm just gonna, okay, never mind. Forget that. Okay. Number three, make sure your pitches stand out from the crowd by tailoring them to the specific client and project. So generic is out. Specificity is in, but it's not hard to do. And what you're getting as part of this presentation and the new product I mentioned is you are getting a whole bunch of templates, like new templates actually that have not been a part of the course before. You're going to get a whole bunch of new templates that are going to help you get more specific, like fill in the blank type of stuff. And number four here is consistency is key. The more you pitch, the more chances you have to secure clients. And honestly, that might be the biggest downfall I see of people who aren't reaching their goals. They're not sending enough pitches. They are hoping it'll work out by sending 1 or 2. And the reality is you've got to send more than that. You're going to get rejections. You're going to get silence. And we have to get into the mode and the repetition of like, okay, we're going to try this and we're going to see what happens. And I always like to say, you're never wasting your time, even if you don't get a yes, or even if you don't get or even if you do get a rejection, because everything that you do is a learning process, and you're getting feedback and you're building relationships and connections that may pay off down the road. So I kind of, you could picture sort of like here you are in the middle and you're building all these bridges and growing all these networks that you can then use later or will come back to you in the form of referrals or things like that. So how do we get there? By implementing a series of steps to generate clients that you can repeat again and again. That is a big part of this. Now, every pitch is not going to be the same, but you'll start to see what makes it work and what doesn't. So 2 major goals here. The short-term goal, obviously, let's secure 1 client in 30 days. I do think that's possible if you're willing to put in the work. And the long-term goal, which was the title of my webinar, 10K months, which sounds like a lot. I know for me that sounded impossible at one point. It is possible. It doesn't mean it happens overnight. But the things that you're learning in this course and some of the things I taught about in the masterclass are things that will help you move towards that goal. So here are some of the key strategies to use as you are crafting these pitches. So we're going to talk about goals, lists, the craft, outreach, follow-up, and networking. These are all key parts of how we're going to reach out to people. All right. Sustainable freelancing. That's what we want, right? We want to create an income that's sustainable, that's regular, that makes us feel good. I know when I have, my regular checks coming in, like I just feel better. I don't know, I'm not describing that very well, but it really is great once you are able to secure some clients and really start getting some of the work that you really want to do. So the step one in this process would be to set a goal. So thinking about when do you want to book that first client? I know if you're here, you probably want to do that sometime in the next 30 days. So it's always good to put a number on it. It's always good to give yourself some parameters, because then you can measure what you're doing and then make changes if it is or is not working. So the best goals, you probably heard this before, are specific, measurable, and achievable. So thinking about exactly how many new warm leads you want to add to your pipeline and the date you want to complete that goal by. So how many pitches do you want to send by a certain time and to complete that goal? So the goal we might say I will send, 5 emails to 20 contacts by such and such a date. So just to kind of get that framework in your mind about how to think about this. And just as a side note, I would say that I'm going to talk specifically about pitching like magazines and newspapers in a different lesson. Today, we're talking more about content writing, copywriting, those kinds of clients. Step 2 is making the big list. It's brainstorm time. If you've been around me at all for any length of time, I'm obsessed with brainstorming because I just think it's so helpful and so underutilized. Like we rarely stop to just like brainstorm because it feels like it's like, well, are we really accomplishing anything? And I think that we are if we would just do it. So the first thing that you want to do as you're kind of gathering all this information in your head is start adding all the names and ideas to a list. You will revisit the list later. You don't have to worry about, asking questions like, oh, should I put this person on the list? Should I not? You can, get rid of them later. The point of a brainstorm is just like brain dump, right? So think of everyone you can. And here are some of the categories I want you to be thinking of. And especially, I think people invalidate the value of friends and family because, as you're starting to freelance, they can be some of your best assets. So friends and family, past clients and coworkers. I know for me, that's been a huge one because I've already worked with these people. They already trust me. And I've told you before, I think that we all know how hard it is to find good people. It's hard to hire someone. It's hard to know if you could trust someone. If someone's going on to Upwork or something, like they're going, I guess I could hire this person, but I don't know anything about them. People would much rather hire someone that comes with a referral from someone they know than a random dude off the street. So do not neglect the power of that. Then there's, your dream clients that you can just reach out to and, put everything on the list because you just never know. Obviously, the online spaces you hang out with, social media platforms, groups, things like that. You can search hashtags for people maybe that have job opportunities. Or just are in the niche that you're in, see what people are saying about that. And then of course, just any networks that you're a part of, whether that's like an alumni group or a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, just start going through each one of these categories and making a list of people from each one that you think you could possibly reach out to. Now, it's not going to be reach out and like, just be like, hey, I'm looking for work. It's going to be specific, which is why I'm going to give you these templates to help guide you in putting those emails together. And what's really fun, I don't think I have this later on in the presentation, but I was working on something earlier, is when you're getting started, you make it exciting by telling people, hey, my freelance business is getting off the ground. And that helps people get excited for you. Like that's a reason to sort of write you back, say congratulations, get that connection going. And it kind of sparks in their brain like, oh, okay, so she's doing this now, or he's doing this now. And that just kind of gets you on the radar. So after you have at least 50 contacts, I know that seems like a lot, but it's better to start with too many than not enough. Then you can pare down and put some thought into how you want to reach out to those people. So Again, I'm just listing here some of the templates that I'm giving you. So I have one for friends and family, for acquaintance, for dream clients, which would be the cold template. That one may require, the most thought into how you're going to say it and how you're going to reach out. And then let's see here. Yeah, there's a cold email, and then there's also an email that asks for people to send you referrals. So maybe somebody that isn't necessarily, you don't necessarily think they're going to have work for you, but they're well networked, that they are a good place to get referrals. That's something that I actually have been doing that this week, because I unexpectedly lost a huge client, my biggest writing client, which was very sad. And started panicking, because that's sometimes the nature, it happens. But I have been sending out emails for referrals this week, because I want to replace that income. And it may take actually two clients to replace this particular piece of my income. So, and it's been great so far. I've gotten a couple of leads, and I think at least one of them is going to work out. And all it took was, sending an email to a couple sort of pointed people that I thought might potentially have a lead. So, and if you're not sure someone would need your specific service and they seem to be well connected, ask for a referral, like I was saying. So here's just a little example. I just totally made this up on the spot. But for example, you reach out to a hairstylist, ask if she needs help managing her Instagram, but you notice her Instagram already looks like it's being managed. So then you can compliment her on the way she's using the platform and ask if she needs any support, or if she knows of any other beauty or hairstylist friends who might need help. So that is just a little example of how you might reach out to someone with a connection, and then, kind of mention like, hey, I'm doing this. Like, do you know anybody? And the thing is, I don't know about you guys, and maybe this is more the industry I'm in or have been in the past, but I get people that send me messages like, hey, do you know anyone who does this? Or I'm looking for someone who does that. And most of the time I'm like, I don't know, I can't think it. And I'm like, I want to be the person that's top of mind when someone comes to someone. I want to be the person like, yeah, Erica does that. Yeah, let me put you in connection with her. It's sort of just like keeping yourself alive and top of mind. So what we'll do, and I'm not saying we're going to necessarily do this right this very second, but when you have time, you'll pick your first contact and give it a spin. But before you do that, you want to do a little bit of research on who some of these people are, if they are dream clients or cold clients that you're pitching. So there's some people that obviously are going to have no idea who you are. And you want to make sure that your email stands out from the rest of the people that are sending them. There are people pitching companies, and especially if something's like listed online as a potential opening, they're getting those all the time. So you want to make sure that your email is different, that it has an air of familiarity, that you show them that you are interested in this niche or this subject matter or this industry, that you have some kind of, even just like one special thing about your email that makes you a little bit more familiar with that person that will be reading it than the next guy. And so go to their social media channels, like just have a little bit of familiarity with this place, pay attention to what stands out, and maybe you can sort of tailor how you write the pitch to include some of those things that you are liking about the brand or the business. So you want to talk about what you genuinely like about their website or the way they do business, or maybe it is even the service that they do. And then you'll, go into the email templates that I'm giving you, and then you can just sort of fill in those things. I have spaces for them to actually just put it right there, plop it right in. And I think it is important to remember that you are reaching out to an actual human. It is not a submissions form. It is not a robot. It is a person. And so try to be likable, be someone they want to help. And I think that's a good thing to remember. The research side doesn't have to take long. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. I would just say, you want to do your due diligence before sending those pitches. So before you send your email, let's talk about the email subject line. This is something I talk about a lot in Bragworthy Bylines. You've probably seen some of that already. And of course, it is a little different depending on if you're pitching an editor for like a publication, or you're pitching a business to say do copywriting for their blog. But either way, the email subject line is really important. So I usually will put freelance pitch if I'm doing a magazine or a newspaper for a business or an organization like this. I probably wouldn't put freelance pitch, because I would probably put something more basic like you see here. using the service or topic you want to work with them on, like blog content writing or words of praise, loving your website, a question, tired of not enough traffic to your site. You can play around with it and it can be a personality thing, but overall, you just want to make sure you're sending something that might make them interested or curious to open the email and see like why you're emailing them, right? Obviously, you want to personalize, find the first name of whoever you're writing, to whom it may concern. I wouldn't do that ever. Make sure you're spelling their name correctly. I can tell you as someone who, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. As someone who has a little bit of an oddly spelled name, Ericka for Erica, I don't really care. Like, I'm not really going to judge someone if they spell my name wrong, but honestly, it does sort of stand out when people get it right. And it's like the first time they've spelled my name. So I don't know, the little things matter. And you want to make sure that they feel seen. And then you also, obviously, you want to make this about them. Don't make your first sentence about you or your offers. The intro is a great time to get familiar. You can name drop. This is a great time. Oh, I heard, I know so-and-so, or I saw you on this person's Instagram, or I don't know. If there's any way that you can bring some kind of connection in, even if it's the smallest thing, that helps. Obviously, you don't want to name drop like if somebody may not want you to, so be smart about it. But even a vague connection can really help someone like feel like they know you above other people. So I said the example of heard about your business on XYZ podcast, and I was so intrigued. And that kind of thing, honestly, that works. All of a sudden, you're like, you have this thing in common, right? Just checking the time. All right. So starting with a compliment, kind of what I just said. If you can say just something nice about the business, the brand, the organization, whatever it may be, that helps. It could be, I love your website design or your brand colors. The point is to make note of something that can make a personal connection and remind them of the great work they provide. And then, did you offer value in your email? So after familiarity and flattery, your goal is to present your value. These people are usually very busy. They don't want to waste time, on a 25 paragraph email. So we want to get to the point after we go through the motions. And we want to present our offer confidently and show them specifically how what we do, freelance writing, would help them. So we want them to respond to the email, because that, again, that's like securing that initial connection that you've made. So you want to make sure your offer is intriguing enough at least to get a reply back, or maybe you ask a question or something like that. But I think it's always important as we're writing these emails to say, like, not just like, I do freelance writing or I write content or whatever. You want to be like, well, actually, I think I'm going to get into this in a second, but essentially the point is you want to talk about how your writing, say you're writing for their blog, is, specified and tied to keyword language in their industry, is going to bring in new traffic, and that's going to help, promote their cause or sell their product or get them more clients or whatever it may be. So once you've gone through that, and of course, you'll need to take some time to do that on your own time, but you'll be ready to send. And once you've done all those things, you want to hit the send button. You can mark the date on your spreadsheet, celebrate that you did this hard thing, and you remember that you cannot control their response, but you're one step closer to success. And also, either way, one way or another, whether they say yes or no, reject or ignore, you're going to get information that you can use for the next thing that you do. I think it's important to sort of, especially at the beginning, hold some of these results loosely, because you're learning. Give yourself grace, give yourself time, and just know that every pitch you send is one pitch closer to getting a yes. So the follow-up is really important when it comes to landing some of these freelance clients. It's actually critical, because we all know that everybody has a very busy inbox. And if you don't follow up, it may get lost. I know I've had people even send me stuff like, oh, I sent you this email. And so I try to make a point to say, if you email me and I do not get back to you within 48 hours, please follow up, because I never mean to ignore anybody. So one thing you can do, and I haven't really done this that much, but it is something you could do to sort of get yourself more familiar, is immediately after sending the email, you could, if it's the right kind of person or organization or whatever, send a DM or an Instagram message, if it makes sense. Like, oh, hey, I just sent you this email, or hey, I want to work with you. I actually have DM scripts in the template pack that you can use if you want. It's a little longer than what I just said. But the idea here is to get your name into their brain so that when they open their email, they're going to go, oh, I just saw that name in my DMs. So if there's another way to connect with them, and that also could be like trying to connect on LinkedIn. I've seen that before, where someone connects with me on LinkedIn and then they also send me an email. And I'm like, oh, like I remember, like it stands out. And so we're just trying to create these connections. And if they do see it, oh, there's my typo. I see it now. You'll stand out if they see it. And like I said, I've got those templates in the library I'm going to give you. Direct messages, it's fine to acknowledge the awkwardness. Like, sorry, I'm sliding into your DMs, or I know it's weird, but I wanted to, you can say that because DMs can be a little personal. Totally up to you. That can be really a personality thing too, but just a suggestion. Keeping it short and sweet, introducing yourself and letting them know you sent the email. And essentially down here, I wrote what it's all about: making it easy to choose you if they need you. If you are the first person to come to someone's mind when they need something, that's exactly what you want. You want to be known for something. You want to be standing out. And this is one of the ways that you can stand out. So once you have sent your pitch or pitches, you did it and you can keep this thing going. So don't forget, you don't want to forget to send the follow-up email. Again, there is a follow-up template that I'm giving you. And that will basically tell you everything you need to know. It's usually pretty short and sweet. And again, I want to reiterate, when you're starting out or you're more of a beginner, quality matters, but so does quantity. And so we want to do these pitches well, but we also want to send a lot of them, depending on what your goals are. Like, you don't want to, I mean, I guess it's possible you could get like a whole bunch of jobs. Chances are you won't at the beginning, but just remember that quantity part of it does matter. For every 10 emails you send, you might expect at least 6 not to respond. So you can't just send 1 or 2 and then quit. That's not the way to succeed. You want to aim to send at least 20 outreach emails. 10, I think I meant to put 30 days, not first 10 days. Well, yeah. So if you wanted to get 1 new client in 10 days, you would want to send 20 emails. If you want to, get 2 new clients in 30 days, send like 40 or 50 emails. I know that sounds like a lot, but once you start doing it, it's easier. And then getting the ball rolling isn't easy, but it'll be worth it down the road. Trust me, going this route is much faster than trying to build an entire strategy, hoping they will come to you first, or spending money on ads. That probably wouldn't work anyway. This method, it does take work, but it's free and it's guaranteed to eventually work when you work it. So what I want to say is that you've got this. Keep refining your pitch writing skills and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. Your dedication and commitment will pave the way to a lucrative freelance writing career. Keep going. Success will follow.